Okay, we've got sort of a baseline mix going here, and so let's start moving backwards a little bit. We have the mix bus here, and I have two sub paths of guitar mics and the vocals. So let's go to the guitar mic subs and kind of clean up a few things.
I built myself a castle just to climb down and rifle through the fragments of my youth. And I've got everything I've ever felt lined up. Pretty bottles, one way in and one way out. My love, it's good till I know who I am again after you.
Okay, yeah, so I'm pulling off some low-end rumble frequencies we don't need, and pulling down some of this frequency that is annoying me at around 180. I'll kind of dig in and solo that for you on the plugin. Yep, better. Let's check out Pal's sub for a second.
The fall clears, the stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100 little lives forever. You have parts of me. Though I tried, I could not fight the change. I've got everything
We did some surgical EQ with the Pro Q3 here. Now I'm going to use sort of a wide brush with the Pultec Pro. I think I'm going to take away some of the 300 hertz, the sort of mid muddy area. Maybe brighten it up a little bit. Let's see what happens here.
Floating on a cloud above the last year, and I can see the moon now as the fall clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. Floating on a cloud above the last year. Floating on a cloud above the last year. I can see the moon now as the fall clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. 100 little lives.
Okay, let's move into the vocal mic, which is where most of the sound is coming from. And on this one, let's just start with a simple equalizer. Maybe do a few surgical things here.
Floating on a cloud above the last year, and I can see the moon now as the fall clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of that honky kind of guitar node that's coming in there.
Floating on a cloud.
Let's try to even that out a little bit. We'll use a Fairchild, and I will put this on the fastest time constant, and I want to drive into this, so get some nice tube sound from it. And I will be turning this on and off to try to fix the gain structure here, because when you push into this unit, the output you know, comes up with it. So I'm going to pull it down here.
I wake here, floating on a cloud above the last year, and I can see the moon now as the fog clear. I wake here, floating on a cloud above the last year, and I can see the moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away.
Yeah, I only wanted to grab the louder parts, right? That's why I'm watching the gain reduction and listening real close to see if I actually hear something that sounds wonky.
I wake here, floating on a cloud above the land.
Okay, so there seems to be a little mid-range thing happening when she sings a little louder, and the way I'm going to take care of that is I'm going to use sort of a multi-band processor. My favorite one that I use is called Soothe. This is a fantastic plugin if you don't have it. Essentially, it's a multi-band equalizer, although it's doing a lot of stuff. And I use a preset that I've made for kind of tinny vocals. Yeah, Vox female tinny. Okay, cool. So this is not far off from the default setting, but what's going on here is when this dot right here is up in this area, it means it's going to attenuate that frequency area more, the more signal comes through it, right? And I have this on a mix at about 56%, but I'm gonna move this around a little bit. And when you see bypass, that means it's not doing anything. If you see delta on, that will actually play us the difference in the two. So it'll actually play the frequencies that it's pulling out at that time.
I wake here, floating on a cloud above the last year, and I can see the moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. I wake here, floating on a cloud above the last year, and I can see the moon now as the fog. I wake here, floating on a cloud above the last year, and I can see the moon now as the fog clears.
Okay, great. So now let's look at some reverb buses. I'm going to start with a bus for a lexicon, the 224. And I'm going to route the two guitar subs to that first. I'm going to send this to the mix bus. Okay, now as I did before, when I select these two holding down Command at the same time, that means whatever I do on one will happen to the other. I'm just going to drive into these and see how it sounds.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100 little lives for every scene.
Okay, let's listen to just the guitars going through there.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning.
Right, so what I've done here, I'm leaving it on the standard default position, which is the small hall A. I pulled down some of the decay. You can think of this as a high frequency roll off, and I pulled some of that down from the default position and raised the mid time, the reverb time. You can think of that as like a tail of the mid frequencies up to about 2.8. Yeah, let's listen to that with the whole mix.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving.
Okay, let's put a plate reverb in here, especially for the main vocals. I'm going to use an EMT 140. We'll send that to the mix bus. We'll just use it on the vocals right now and get it set up that way first.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. Moon now as the fog clears.
Oh, that's way too much. Okay, we'll pull that down. I want to roll some of the low end off of that.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100 little lives for every season.
I feel like I'm missing something on this vocal. I'm going to roll back a little bit, pull these down. And before that compressor, I'm going to put in a Neve 1073.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100.
Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I just raised the low shelf a little bit at 220 and the high shelf a little bit.
Moon now as the fog clears.
This is off.
The stars were burning.
Let's hit this with a broad brush again with the Pultec Pro. This time on this track, I kind of want to bring up some of that low end a little more and maybe some air band up here. So let's start with the MEQ5 at the top here.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100 little lives for every season.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm boosting a little bit at 200 hertz, dipping a little at the 1.5K, and raising the boost of the 16K frequency range on a broad bandwidth. This is sort of like what I'm doing with the Neve, but way before that in this chain.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100 little lives.
Okay, let's deal with this room right fast. What I'm hearing is too much low end for one thing, and it's kind of unwieldy. So let's focus on that for a second.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away.
It's got a good vibe to it, so I'm going to keep it. We'll just roll off some of that low end.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100 little lives.
Cool. Now, when she kind of gets louder, it becomes unwieldy. And what I mean by that is it's poking through the mix and sounding kind of funky. So let's compress this a little bit to have control over it. I'm going to use the gray LA2A.
Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. Moon now as the fog clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100 little lives for every.
So when I roll that up a little bit, all I'm doing is closing my eyes, pulling it all the way down and pulling it up until I notice it, and then maybe rolling it back a little bit. I'm more or less just looking for the feeling of the size of the room, to get a feeling of being in the room with the performer.
Moon now as the fall clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving.
Okay, now let's see what happens when I put the two guitar subs into that plate reverb.
As the fall clears, the stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving.
Yep, I like that. It's giving it even more cohesion. Now, one more thing I'm going to do, and we'll see how we like this. This is an old mixing trick of putting basically the entire mix into a chamber. And we're trying to simulate being in the room with the performer, just like I mentioned before. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up a bus here, and we're going to call it chamber. I'm going to send that out to the main, or the mix bus, I'm sorry. And I'll just pull up the capital chambers. And my favorite setting on this is one that I always start with. It's what I call a ribbon chamber start. And it's basically the default room, but I'm using a ribbon mic. And that's a real soft sound for that mic. And I rolled off some of the bass and the treble, but I'm going to mess with these a little bit as we go. And the way I'm going to get everything into that is I'm going to take everything that's mic'd, basically. The guitars, both subs and the vocals, we're going to send all of them to that chamber at unity gain.
Moon now as the fall clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away.
Okay, now I'm going to pull it way up so you can hear what the effect is sounding like.
Moon now as the fall clears.
Right, so let's go back down, and I'm going to do that same thing where I kind of close my eyes and listen, right?
Moon now as the fall clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100 little lives for every season. You have parts of me that I don't need.
Okay, great. Let's head back to the beginning and listen to what's happening with these buses that are just set up. And I'm probably going to change a few things as we go.
I dreamed that you were blind and I went walking, looking for the light, but then I lost it, trying to bring the right thing home to you. And I see now that you were blind and I went walking, looking for the light, but then I lost it, trying to bring the right thing home to you. And I see now that nothing is a waste until it runs and rifles through the fragments of my youth. And I've got everything I've ever felt lined up in pretty little bottles, one way.
So what I just did was I rolled up the volume on that send at the chorus, and I'm gonna get rid of this so that it stays up there. So when the chorus comes in, we're gonna get more of that plate reverb.
And I've got everything I've ever felt lined up again after you.
Right, so I did the same thing over the whole mix for the chamber at verse 2. There's a lot more energy coming in there, so I feel like that should come up in volume. Again, I'm just raising the volume on the send to the plate for the vocal at the chorus, but everything is going to come up on the chamber at verse 2. Let's listen to that change.
I can see the moon now as the fall clears. The stars were burning, we just looked away. And I'm grieving 100 little lives for every season.
Okay, I think we're good. Now, on the end of the song, there's probably going to be another little automation of reverb. We'll check it out here. No, I think that's fine right where it is. So in the next video, what I think we'll do is sort of go through some finishing touches on this and then talk about what to do after you've mixed it. Thanks so much for watching. If you find any of this helpful, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.